She was home at 9:30. She was always home at that time on Thursdays, sometimes a little earlier. You can't be too careful. It was always exactly 10. At 15, he came home from his lodge meeting like clockwork. Her father had got him into it, and he'd agreed just to please them both. But after he joined, he found that he liked the civil service aspect of it. He was so good at organizing fundraisers and social events that he was nominated and elected to the Board of Governors. He was the governor's chair of the scholarship committee. He worked long and hard to support and raise money for the project. Thanks to his efforts, they were able to fund 2 community college scholarships per year for deserving young people. She made sure she was clean and presentable when he got home. Sometimes she was in bed, but often she waited. They got up and talked about the previous day, how the scholarship fund was going, and the usual things married people chat about before bed. Sometimes they made love, but usually they just snuggled together until they fell asleep. The first sign that something might be wrong came when she pulled into the driveway and couldn't get in. The garage. His car was parked at an angle, blocking both doors. She got out and felt uneasy. He'd talked to her just a few minutes ago, and she'd told him she was home. She loved this house. She was a firm believer in apartment living. She'd let him talk her into moving here when her lease expired. It was a fairly new 3-bedroom house. The house had a bedroom and was on a small lot. The porch, which ran all the way around the house, gave the house a dignified look. There was a swing in the front room, under the ceiling fans. They often sat under the fans, swinging gently on the swing and enjoying the warm summer nights. She was perceptive enough to see what he was up to. This was the family home. She could even see the swings and kiddie pool in the backyard, which was fenced in. One of the happiest moments of her life so far had happened last month, when they were laying a new flower bed. She threw some soil at him to get his attention. "Hey, what did I miss? A spot?" "No, I just needed to tell you I was ready." "Not yet. We haven't put in the fertilizer or the lime yet. We have to mix it in before we plant." "That's not what I meant. I'm ready to have a baby." "Good thing the flower beds are soft," she thought as he threw himself on top of her and pinned her to the ground. Love-making. After that was slow and gentle, more in keeping with the exchange of souls than bodily fluids. She had never felt so loved. She was surprised by the tears he shed. He had always been so calm and reserved. She stepped out onto the porch and headed for the front door, trying to be as quiet as possible. She jumped when she saw him sitting on the swing. The porch light wasn't on, so she didn't see him. "Jesus, Kenny, you scared me. Come on, let's go inside." "No. Stay with me for a while. Let's enjoy the breeze for a few minutes." He patted the spot next to him on the swing. "Where have you been? You said you were here, but you weren't here when I got home." She fidgeted. He got off the swing awkwardly. "I didn't feel like sleeping," he said. "I remembered I was almost out of gas and I didn't want to try to get any in the morning, so I drove to the corner market." "There was only a quarter tank in the car," she said. "I really hoped he wouldn't check it." He took her hand and said, "I could have sworn you just got back from the Hideaway Motel on 5th Avenue, room 69. "That's right," she replied. "Jerry's a little superstitious about these things. Is this where you usually meet every Thursday from 6:00? From 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., she overdosed and tried to pull her hand away, but he held it firmly and wouldn't let go. "Relax, Les. I'm not going to hurt you, but I want you to promise to listen to me without interference. I promise it will be your turn to speak, and I'll listen when we're done. Will you do that for me?" She hunched over, shrunk into a small ball, and sniffed her nose loudly. He carried on speaking in a quiet, colorless voice. "When I first heard about it, I refused to believe it. One of your friends saw you, and no, I don't know which one. She sent me an email from a public account, but I ignored it. It started with a seed that was planted and sprouted, taking over the cracks in my brain until I finally had to get rid of it by refuting it. So, I checked it out. I had a friend who was house-sitting, and I have to tell you, it is really unpleasant to ask someone to do that, especially when he's a friend. I think it's safe to say that this incident may have ended my friendship with him. It was pretty disturbing to watch him struggle with his emotions, as he told me everything in brief. He even had pictures of you and him going in and out of the motel room, including hello and goodbye kisses. We were just lucky he didn't. I know who the man was. He tends to avoid me now. I think the pain he saw on my face that day is what he sees now every time he looks at me." She started to cry quietly. She tried to speak, but he put his fingers to her lips and said, "Hush, you promised to listen first." He pressed his fingers against hers until he felt her nod. "Good. I'll try not to stay too long. The porch light was off, and the only illumination of the scene was the light coming through the curtains in the living room. He continued to speak in a calm, even tone, but his face was a mask of pain and suffering. I couldn't see him in the darkness when he showed me the pictures. I swear the sound of my broken heart almost deafened me. It was literally ringing in my ears. But after thinking about it, I felt like I needed to know why. Why could you two do this to us? He was as calm as could be. He was a broken man, a quivering wreck, as he took a deep breath, trying to pull himself together. Leslie, your own sister, how could you do this to us? When your mom died, she stepped in and practically raised you. You should know that at 15, the last thing she wanted was the responsibility of a 9-year-old. She's old, but she still stepped forward and missed dates, dances, school events, so she could be there for you. Your father told me that one year money was so tight that she gave up Christmas so you could have something under the tree. She loved you more as a daughter than as a sister. You know she'll find out eventually, even if she deserves the truth. I'll never tell her. I love her too much to hurt her like that. Maybe she can forgive Jerry. She's the best woman I know, but I don't know if her heart is that big. She started to cry, realizing what she'd done. She remembered how excited she'd been, how smug she'd felt, getting away with something. It seemed so childish now. She was already thinking about how to deal with the damage, hoping she could fix it. How could she have been so stupid? But deep down she knew he loved her and would forgive her anything. It was her anchor, her excuse. Even if she got caught, I suddenly doubted that he would ever leave her. I realized that I should have known, but why was I consumed by this doubt? I slipped something into her purse. Remember that nifty little flashlight I bought for you? It was also a voice-activated voice recorder. It's amazing what you can find online these days. There seemed to be no spark between you two. It was like, here we are, let's make love so we can go home to our families. One time he even called it knocking back a quick piece, and you giggled and agreed. If it meant so little to both of you, why did you do it? It gave me hope. If it meant so little, maybe it would be over soon. If it did, I would take my knowledge of your affair to my grave. I had a plan. I would change my habits and make it hard for you to have your meetings. I thought that if it meant so little, and I got in the way of getting together, you'd just give up. I even got the tape recorder out of your purse, but then I did something stupid. I listened to you. I want to know why I cried when you said you were ready to have our baby. It was because of that, and to me it meant that your romance had run out of steam. He paused for a moment, then took her hand and shook it a little, shushing her when she tried to speak. He reminded her that she'd get her chance later on. He started again, then I listened to that tape. It was your undoing, Les. I heard you tell him it was the last time. When did he say forever? I swear I heard angels, but they were demons gnashing their teeth. Enjoy. If you can't remember your answer, I still have the tape. He pressed a button on the tape, and she heard her world ending with her own words. Of course, you don't need to wait long to get pregnant. I love him, and I want to make sure it's his. 2 weeks after the doctor confirms I'm pregnant, you'll be with me again. We may have to see each other more often. All my friends say that being pregnant turns you on all the time. Just be glad Kenny will be around to take that slack, even in the darkness. Kenny could see that. Her face was pale, and she was breathing rapidly and shallowly, which indicated that she was hyperventilating. He waited for her breathing to return to normal. You have no idea what came into my head, Les. Ugly things so evil and vile that I'm ashamed they came into my head. I was going to destroy you, maybe kill Jerry in a slow, miserable, agonizing death. He finally calmed down and thought things through rationally. He had been thinking about what he was going to do for the last 2 weeks. It took him a while, but he came up with the perfect plan. Revenge. I bet you're dying to know, aren't you, Les? She was terrified. Well, darling, here it is. It was so easy. I don't know why it didn't occur to me before. You won't be able to love me anymore. It'll never be Kenny and Les again. From now on, it's just Kenny. Leslie, we're no longer a couple. We'll never have children. The 2 girls I wanted because I thought there should be more girls like you in the world will never happen. A little boy with your grace and my size will never exist. We will never go to Lamar's class together. I will never rub lotion on your tummy to reduce stretch marks. I will never hold your hand and cut the umbilical cord. In the delivery room, there'll be no cuddling up to the baby in the first few days. You won't get to see them off to kindergarten. There'll be no high school graduation or college. There'll be no chats about the birds and the bees. No celebrations of sporting triumphs. You won't be there to console them when they lose. You won't be there to give them driving lessons. You won't be there to comfort them when they first start dating. You won't get to see their grandchildren when your hand shakes so badly you can't cut the cake celebrating your golden anniversary. I won't help you resist. You can never make me sad, and I can never make you sad. When one of us finally dies, this house we both love so much, I can sell the place. We'll never own it together. It will never hold the memory of us again. Finally, tears came to his eyes. You killed us less, just as surely as if you had put a gun to our heads and pulled the trigger. I've been thinking about it a lot. I'm tired of thinking, tired of crying, tired of feeling lost and alone. There must be a good woman looking for a guy who's talented at loving her completely. She has to know that his love and trust will never be betrayed. Not next week, not next month, but soon. I'll start looking. He let go of her hand and stood up. He was absent-minded. He shook his head and started to leave. I'm going now, Les. I've already taken what I wanted. It was very little. I didn't want anything to remind me of you. I didn't take a single picture of you or us together. I have enough mental images to last me the rest of my life. From time to time, please don't embarrass me by trying to talk. I'll leave quietly if I can, but if I have to, I'll leave loudly and rudely. One more thing, I'll leave. It's up to you to tell your family you made the mess. Clean it up however you want, as long as you don't make me the bad guy. Just say it didn't work out, and I'll back you up. Oh, I totally forgot. Oh, one more thing. Tell Jerry to stay away from me if I'm in a bar, restaurant, or any other public place. I don't want him to see me. If he sees me, he should leave. I would never hurt you physically, but he doesn't deserve anything. Frankly, I don't even know if I want to control my anger. He was just about to get into the car when the shock began to pass. She ran up to him and grabbed his arm. Wait. You told me I could talk when you were done. Please sit back down. Let me explain. Beg if you need to. I swear I'll never touch anyone else again. He took her hand away and said, Never touch me again. I just did what I swore I would never do to you. I lied. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hear your explanations or excuses. I don't want to hear your promises. We're done, Les. You have no idea how sorry I am. He didn't say another word. He just got in his car and drove away. She sat on the porch steps and cried uncontrollably when he left. That's the end of the story. Subscribe to my channel. Thanks.